Hey friends, happy Tuesday, the 15th of February. I'm Father Bill Hill, a priest at Holy Spirit Catholic Community, and it's nice to be with you, pray with you for a moment with the scriptures using some technology. I'm on vacation until Friday of this week, just enjoying a little bit of downtime before we hit Ash Wednesday and the Lent and Easter gift and grind. I'll give you a daily reflection on the readings. They're linked on the sidebar. Read the readings prayerfully and then turn off the screen. Don't doom scroll. Don't give in to the temptation of social media, but instead spend time with God. We've got a reading from the letter of James and Jesus in Mark's Gospel. Gave a little introduction to James's letter yesterday in the video, if you want to go back and check that out. We are continuing in the development of the themes of James, and we heard that it was about perseverance yesterday, enduring. And so today it's the flip side of that, which is don't give in to temptation, right? If we are to endure, we can't give in to temptation. And there is kind of a heady idea here, which is different than how the Our Father has been translated into English, right? That it is not God who leads us into temptation, but it is instead our own desire. Temptation comes from inside of us. The devil didn't make me do it. God definitely didn't make me do it. It is our own desire. Several years ago, people got super worried because they heard that in the course of the translation of the liturgy into Italian, and you remember that our Mass translation changed, 12 years ago or so, that the Pope was advocating for a slight tweak to the Our Father about not letting us fall into temptation as opposed to leading us into temptation. And I don't know the Italian history of that discussion and everything else. I do know that the Spanish that I speak does speak more of, do not let us fall into temptation. And I don't also know the history of the translation of the Lord's Prayer into English, right? If that is a 16th century thing or even earlier, and where our kind of English understanding of don't lead us into temptation came from. Definitely not engaging in polemic about the liturgy. We're not changing anything there, so chill out, Catholics. But just that reminder to us that it is from within ourselves that temptation arises, and especially we know more brain chemistry sort of stuff. And we're going to hear more about this, and one of the themes of James's letter is going to be the evils of the tongue. So often we can think of temptation in the form of sex, right? But there's so many other forms of temptation. Temptation to greed, temptation to oppressing another, temptation to thinking about my group and dehumanizing those who I judge to be outside of my group. Our temptation could certainly be towards ourselves, a lack of love and terrible words towards ourselves. It could be towards the misuse of, substances or behaviors in order to not feel the way that we're feeling. All sorts of different ways that we could be tempted over the course of our days and our lives. Maybe we just spend a moment and ask, what are my easiest pitfalls? What are the ways that I turn towards sin instead of turning towards the love of God? And maybe we spend a moment in that prayer. I hear some similar themes in the Gospel of Mark. Jesus teaches his disciples to be on the guard against the leaven of Herod and the leaven of the Pharisees. And they take it very literally, thinking that Jesus is talking about yeast and their lack of bread. And he reminds them that, I've multiplied enough food for thousands of people, and you think that it's because we lack bread that I'm talking about? And remember, a little bit of yeast transforms the loaf. A little bit completely changes it, influences it. The language that we would use today would be peer pressure. Right? And it's not just about the ways maybe that others cause us to act. That might be how we think originally of peer pressure, but also about that creep of values, the ways that we might start to take in that way of viewing and judging the world in some of those ways. And so, you might just want to ask, what voices am I listening to? In what ways have I allowed the values of this world, maybe especially creeping in through social media, but other ways, to change my heart, to move me less towards love, more towards judgment, hate, anger, violence? fear, to just root ourselves in the absolute, complete love of God, and to hope, pray, not just hope, pray, for the leaven of Jesus, the bit of that kingdom that continues its process to transform the whole loaf. All right. Happy Tuesday, friends. Pray with those readings and then turn off the screen. Let's be praying for folks that are having a hard time. God bless you.